you.
A tale of two birdies today. In France, vultures usually feed on the 150,000 tonnes of rotting pig flesh left out by farmers. It's a symbiotic relationship that has served both well for hundreds of years. The farmers don't have to dispose of their dead livestock because the vultures pick it clean, and so goes the circle of life. But now, an EU ruling stipulates that farmers must tidy the place up a bit and incinerate the carcasses, and so the vultures are forlorn. The countryside is their larder, and the cupboard is bare, so they thought, forget all this waiting around for an animal to die. We're going to kill something. And so now great clouds of ravenous carnivores are sweeping down and taking on whole cows. And winning. Farmers report 87 deadly vulture attacks last year, proving if they can't find carrion, they'll carrion and make dinner themselves. Get it? At the cuddlier end of the raptor tree, a mother duck was separated from its 6 little ducklings in Gosforth when they were swept into a storm drain and carried along the sewer. Their mother, at pavement level, could hear their anguished chirrups and followed the sound along the street as her chicks were swept along beneath her. She traced their progress by listening at drains and plotted their route across a busy roundabout. Countless roads, a housing estate, a railway line, 2 school playing fields, and a hospital grounds. The chicks finally came to rest underneath a manhole cover, and so stayed the mother. For 4 hours she waited until nearby residents heard the plaintive calls from below and prized open the cover, scooped up the chicks, and reunited them with their quack-static mother. Rather than leave them to their fate, the kindly locals drove them to a nearby lake and set them free to waddle away into the sunset. A blissful reunion. The only thing that could possibly make this story any better would be some orange sauce and roast potatoes. Ah. All but the most stone-hearted newspapers had that story today. Amongst them, the Daily Telegraph. Shame on them. I bet they have it tomorrow. Little picture of the quacky ducks, and you couldn't stop going, ah, could you? All you need to do is slice them off at the neck, pull their gizzards out, and roast them for half an hour. Medium setting. So yummy. What would you like your hotel room to smell like? Nothing at all would be my first choice. Nothing at all. Completely devoid of smell, particularly of the aroma of the previous occupants. That would be my first choice. One hotel isn't happy with the clean smell of plain fresh air. And this is in the, I don't know, from the, it looks like it could be the Times. It's not the first hotel business to provide rooms that smell, but it's the first to regard its odours as a selling point. Travelodge, the purveyor of generic accommodation overlooking some of Britain's finest roundabouts. I'm guessing that the Times won't be getting any adverts from Travelodge anytime soon. This is not news, this is commentary. The purveyor of generic accommodation overlooking some of Britain's finest roundabouts is to offer guests scented rooms. I would prefer rooms not to come with bullet holes as well. I once stayed in a room with a bullet hole. Yes. Quite an uncomfortable experience, really. Near, what's that place that just went underwater? Narlins. Yeah, New Orleans. The chain first carried out a survey to isolate the smells. In another hotel in New York, somebody died in the room opposite. I opened the door to go to the bathroom, down the hall, if you please, and the place was crawling with coppers, because someone had stiffed it in the adjoining suite. Well, it wasn't a suite at all. There was nothing sweet about it. Blooming horrible. The man at the desk said, when you go out the hotel, he didn't say it like this, but I'll just give him this accent because I can't be bothered. Hey, pal, buddy, don't turn left. Don't turn left. This was before Bloomberg cleaned up New York. I was right near what they call Alphabet City, which is the edge of Manhattan. Never go near the edge, always huddle in a muddle in the middle. Anyway, back to this. The chain first carried out a survey to isolate the smells most likely to comfort anyone finding themselves in Travelodge Birmingham Fort Dunlop. Is that what it's called? Hey, we're on our holidays. Let's go to Travelodge Birmingham Fort Dunlop. Anybody interested? I'll meet you at the bar.
No.
No, I didn't think so, no. So before I read the rest of this story, I'd like your opinions on what smell you'd like to most greet you, or you'd most like to greet you, on entering your hotel accommodation. 0845 6060 973, and we'll compile a list of the 3 responses that we'll get, and we'll award a prize to the most likely, or not, as the case may be. You can phone 0845, but not necessarily about that. I mean, that's just a little bit of nonsense. There's all sorts of things that happen today, none of them good, of course, but you can call about any of that or much else that's on your mind. 0845 6060 973, as I keep trawling the papers to see if I can find some good news. Not so far, not today. Well, Prince William appeared in his altogether he looked the most ridiculous that I have ever seen. And his brother burst out laughing at the very sight of him. He was wearing some sort of floppy Frank Spencer-style beret, and with a plume in his hat. He looked daft. The Order of the Garter. What's that, then? Well, I know what it is, more or less, vaguely. A lot of papers did describe exactly what it is. It seems to be that Queen gives it to her relis. Here, have that. Here's a badge. Another one of those. How ludicrous. What a country. First call, Cheam. PJ.
Hi, Nick.
Hey, PJ.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks.
Right, regarding this smell in the hotel room.
Smell in a hotel room, yeah.
Right, it should be like, if you're going to a seaside, like any coastal hotel, I mean, as soon as you go in, it should smell like a sea. Fresh air from the sea.
Fresh air from the sea?
Yes.
Right. What's the sea around this country, which is foam, speckled and brown?
Right, it's not always around this country. I mean, if you go down to, Cornwall.
Right, okay. So it's the extra ions in the air and that sort of the revivification of the seaside resort. That's what you want when you put the key, your little plastic key, into your door, yes, and the light turns green, allowing you to enter. Rightio, I'll stick it down. Thanks a lot, PJ.
Thank you.
The smell of the sea. Now, I would never have come up with that. I would have said girly things like vanilla. The sea. That would never have occurred to me. Come to find out, it was one of the more popular smells requested. And I was surprised when I read it. And I thought, the sea? Who would ever think that they would like their room to smell like the sea? Well, particularly in this country, because when you go to the sea, it's like I said, it's mostly brown. And I don't like brown. It's brown and foamy. Like beer. Ugh. I mean, it doesn't make you want to go in, does it? It underlined in my mind the desire never to enter a body of water that's not surrounded by tiles. And even then, I don't want to get in there if anybody else has been in there before me, because, small children use it as a toilet. Oh, yes, they do. I used to go swimming before I used to go to the gymnasium. Up and down and 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 back and forth and up, to and fro and on and on and on and on and on it went. Oh, blimey. Swimming, so fascinating.
Boring.
Really dull. Oh, is there a more dull sport in the whole wide world? Can you imagine doing swimming as a career? Shortly there will be people on the telly. I'm very excited about the Olympics. Anybody excited about the Olympics? Hands up through there. Anyone excited about the Olympics? I'm looking at 2 girls who are looking at me like I've lost my mind. Of course not, they say. Women will be there too. Why don't you, shout on for your sisters?
It's just boring.
No, it's not. It's the best, fastest, fittest people in the world competing for the prize of their lives. Not monetary. Well, I suppose it is monetary eventually, but it's the prize initially is to stand on the podium and hear your theme tune played. And I think that's the most marvellous thing of all. The Olympics. I've never been more ready for an Olympics in my whole life. I think most in previous times I haven't actually been that bothered. But I'm totally ready and raring to go, and it's going to be in HD, baby.
Groovy.
I can't wait.
So you're not going to brave all those crowds and go and see it in person?
Of course not. What, China? It's in China.
I thought you meant our ones.
Oh, our ones. Well, nobody here is going to go and see our ones either, because the tickets will be too expensive for anything that anybody wants to see. And even if you could afford them, you won't be able to buy them, because all of the politicians and all of the great and good, a term that I use with inverted commas, waggling my fingers in the air to denote I don't mean it, all the great and good will have snaffled them all for free. It'll be corporate and friends for as far as the eye can see. And the likes of you and me, we won't get a look in to the things that people actually want to see, like the opening ceremony, for instance, the closing ceremony, both of which are probably really boring to look at, because it's just the endless trooping of people in and out. And the closing ceremony is just a giant group hug that they didn't get found out taking steroids. Because it is essentially the game of hide and seek with the people who are trying to find out that they've been that they're hopped up on the wacky weed or whatever it is that they're taking. Not wacky weed, by the way. Wacky weed will not improve your performance in anything except listening to Pink Floyd records.
Yowza.
In the recent Winter Olympics, there were skateboards on those big fat skis. What do they call them? Those
Snowboarders?
Yeah, snowboarders. Those are dudes. Those long-haired dudes like that. And they've all got their Green Day tattoos on their face. And, I don't know what they're listening to these days, but Green Day, oh, that's like so like last century, man. No idea. But some of them were found actually to have been smoking marijuana, and they got kicked out the sport, as though that's going to improve their performance. Coincidentally, some of them were going down at the Olympics listening to their iPods. How casual is that? I love them for it.
Want to score some pot?
7:45. LBC Travel with Amanda Redmond.
Well, a serious crash in Yeah.
A text. You can text me, by the way, on 84850. You can also email me, nick.abbott@lbc.co.uk. Abbott is 2 B's, 1 T. Or, most preferably of all, 0845 6060 973. That's the phone number. A text. The birds will attack humans when the landfill sites are closed. I absolutely believe that's true. I think we're at the turning point of our relationship with animals. And it started. I mean, if vultures, which are normally, what's the word for animals that pick clean dead things?
Scavengers?
Scavengers. Absolutely correct. Yes, scavengers. Would you like to go for the car? Scavengers. Yeah, if scavengers have started to kill things, then there is a change afoot, don't you think? And vultures don't live in their own tiny little world. Other animals will see them do it too. And they think, hey, you know what? They might have something there. And, I don't know, pigeons. But I'm amazed that pigeons haven't set about us, because there's loads of them. And they are quite aggressive, to each other. You see them, chasing each other all around the place, because one of them's got a fag end that the other one would like to have a lick of. I'm amazed that pigeons aren't actually snatching the food out of our hands yet. Seagulls do it. I'm sure that pigeons would do it, because pigeons can fly faster than seagulls, can't they? There's absolutely no way, not even in a car, could you catch a pigeon? It's true. I mean, if a pigeon nicked your iPod Nano, I'm trying to think of something that's valuable that we're waving around that they could actually fly off with. Yeah, that's gone, isn't it? I mean, you could be running up the street. You could run up the street for the rest of your life. You'd never catch that thing. So all they have to do is take a shine to something to think, oh, forget this, I'm waiting for crumbs to fall off the table, I'm just going to get it. And if a pigeon, say, if like 2 or 3 pigeons landed on you were enjoying an alfresco nibble on, somewhere revolting in Soho where they've got the tables outside and the lorries thundering by, why anybody would want to sit and eat there is a mystery to me. You might as well put your lips over the exhaust valve of a bus. But if you are, and you're enjoying a croissant or something inappropriately French, and 2 or 3 pigeons landed on the table and set about your food, well, you'd freak out, wouldn't you? You'd leap to your feet and back off, because you didn't want to touch them, you don't want to have a fight with a pigeon, so they'd win instantly. All they have to do is try it once, and then a little little pigeon synapse, little birdie switch would go off in their tiny little minds and think, hang on a minute, what are we doing wasting our time waiting for crumbs all these years? We could just take whatever we like. And then suddenly the worm would turn. And we'd have to set about pigeons with a fury, because if there's one thing that we have been quite successful at, it's eliminating competition. We haven't got any. Even animals that could perhaps take us in a fight, that live amongst us, like foxes, for instance. I mean, if a fox went for your throat, well, you'd be highly unlikely to win, really, wouldn't you? I mean, you'd well, you wouldn't stand up and trade punches with it. Yeah. Any animal that attacks you with its face, we're frightened of. They don't know that. We killed all the ones that could really do us any damage, and we've banished them to hot areas where we don't go much, except on holiday in 4x4s. But if the animals that live amongst us, like rats, for instance, apparently you're never further than 10 yards away from a rat in central London. Well, if they decided en masse that they aren't going to, that they're mad as hell and they're not going to take it anymore, well, there's nowhere that they couldn't take over immediately. I mean, if a plague of 100 rats charged into this studio, what am I going to do? Sit here and continue the show? I'll never come back. So they can take over in an instant. It's just that they don't know it yet. They're frightened of us because we're bigger than they are, but they don't know what chickens that they are dealing with here.
Yes, but that's their first attack. The next time they tried it, we'd all have guns. They can't fight those.
Well, if we did all have guns, we'd be too busy shooting each other, because we'd not acknowledged that somebody let us in from a side street in our cars, or somebody jostled us accidentally in a pub. If we were all armed, well, there'd be rivers of blood. We'd be able to actually commute to work on the rivers of blood that would be flowing through London, thereby cutting out the enormous traffic jams that plague our capital on a daily basis. So maybe you're onto something there. It's a good idea. Yes, let's tool up now. Here's a call in Banstead. Oh, Charlotte.
Hello, Nick.
Charlotte.
How are you?
Great, mate.
You were talking about things to cheer us up.
Yesterday.
Right? Yeah. Oh, right. I thought you just said something about... What about Wimbledon? Wimbledon's coming up.
Oh, Wimbledon, yes, modern-day tennis. I love it.
I hate it!
Boring.
Oh, you don't like Wimbledon? You don't
Not so much, no. Well, there aren't many... Actually, there have appeared some characters of late, because my interest in tennis sort of petered out when Jimmy Connors and John McEnroe stopped playing, because they were characters in those times, and there was that crazy Romanian guy. What was his name? The crazy Romanian. He was always mucking about.
Oh.
A very talented crazy Romanian guy. What's his name? Eli Nastasi. That's the fella. Oh, no. Was he Romanian? I don't know. Anyway, he's foreign. Eli Nastasi. All of those people from the 70s. That was when tennis was interesting. And Bjorn Borg, of course, the robot. Everyone was playing with a wooden racket, and you could virtually enjoy tea while you were playing. The ball was coming over the net so slowly, compared with these people today with rocket-powered, graphite bats, and it's just serve. The guy can't return it, he wins a point.
The trouble
Change side.
Oh, sorry, Nick.
Serve. The guy can't return it, and you win a point. It's just so dull.
But when Wimbledon comes round, it always rains for 2 weeks.
Yes.
On and off.
Well, yes.
You get the bad weather.
It's British summertime, end of June, beginning of July, which makes it. I mean, when will that hippie that runs Glastonbury learn? That's not the weekend to have Glastonbury. It will rain.
Yes, and I was going to say, why does the Queen never go to Wimbledon? She goes to Ascot, she goes to Wimbledon, does she?
Yes, good
She
point.
doesn't like tennis.
Well, she's probably frightened that Cliff Richard might burst into song. The Queen never goes to Wimbledon. Yes, I've never seen Her Madge at Wimbledon. I've seen many of her acolytes, but never Her Madge herself. No.
Oh, and quickly before you go,
Probably watching it on the telly while
I'll mention something else quickly.
eating dry cereal straight out of the Tupperware.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I've got a cat called Boris.
Right.
And he's blind.
Yes.
And he's sort of mustard, colour and white.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe he could be Boris Johnson's mascot.
Boris Johnson's mascot. Right, well, I'll definitely pass that along. Good idea, Charlotte.
Okay.
Cheers, my dear. Ta-ra.
Bye.
0845 6060 973. That's the phone number. You can text 84850 and email nick.abbott@lbc.co.uk. A text. How about the fragrant aroma? This is hotel rooms. That's the question that I'm asking, and the first answer that I got was corresponded to the largest number of responses to this survey by Travelodge. What would you like your hotel room to smell like? And if I'd sat here for 1,000 years, I wouldn't have come up with the smell of the sea, because I don't associate the sea with a particularly nice smell. Things are in the sea. It's, The smell of the seaside, maybe. But if you scooped up the actual sea, not so much. So if you have an idea what you would like your hotel room to smell like, if you could choose from a menu, like many hotels give you a menu of pillows to choose from. You ever had a pillow menu, Victoria?
No,
I
don't go to posh hotels.
You just get what you're given, eh? With the brown stains, and if you don't like it, we can sleep on the floor. Yeah.
Actually, I must admit, I do normally take my own.
You take your own pillow on holiday? Oh, blimey, you are out your mind. You take your own pillow? Do you take your own towels as well?
No, just pillows. They're
right.
dirty.
Well, so's the mattress. Billions of little animals ready to eat your flesh as you sleep. LBC.
Here comes LBC 0845 6060 973.
There's a couple of other things that I'd like to talk about. Not all daft, but I am interested to continue this for a little while. What would you most like your hotel room to smell like? But I'd like to add to that, because Victoria added the bizarre tale that she actually carries her own pillow with her. You are aware that all those tiny little biting insects are in the mattress too?
I know, but it's my head. It's precious.
I'll be the judge of that. You carry your pillow with you, but that must take an enormous space in your luggage.
Well, it's quite pleasant, because when I'm in the car and I want to have a sleep and my husband's driving, it's there as well, you see. It works two ways.
Right, okay. So, bizarre hotel requests. Anything weird about you in a hotel? Got any stories about you in a hotel that aren't just, I nick all the shampoo? I nick all the shampoo. Every day. I completely clear the bathroom of shampoo, moisturiser, conditioner, everything. Everything that's in a bottle, I'll clear it all, put it in my suitcase, put the suitcase in the wardrobe and lock the suitcase. So they have to replenish it on a daily basis. Kind of like they don't sell shampoo in my country. As though I'm falling on it as the only available source for the rest of my life. How ludicrous. And it's probably really cheap, too. I mean, they must get big vats of it and then squirt it into these tiny little bottles. But, I don't know, there's just something about it. I have to have it. So, anything like that, you things that you've stolen, bizarre hotel escapades, stories, anything to do with a hotel, let's do that. It's as wide a net as I can throw. 0845 6060 973 on the back of this survey that Travelodge have conducted into what you would like your hotel room to smell like. So 0845 6060 973 if you've got any hotel-related stories that you'd like to pass along. That would be great. I'd like to talk about Prince Charles and the Gypsies, and also there's been many stories about education in the papers today. That's EDJERKASHUN. Education. Both school and university. Now, I don't know where to begin, really. I suppose we should begin at the very beginning. It's a very good place to start. You know, a little while ago, the government was suggesting that universities, top league, the Russell Group, whatever they call it, of, red brick, not red brick, the reverse of that, that our top universities aren't taking on enough students from state schools. And they're doing it because they are, to paraphrase, snooty. Quite the reverse, apparently. Thousands of bright, comprehensive pupils are missing out on degree courses because they're let down by their schools, it's claimed. Researchers found that strong performance in A-levels determines university entrance, not the background of the applicants. So, what the government has said is that we are forcing you universities, like Cambridge and Oxford and, the good ones, to take more students from state schools, even though they are ostensibly more stupid. Not perhaps more stupid, but they've got lower grades on their exams. And then you can just bring them up to speed at your leisure. The research commissioned by the Sutton Trust education charity implicates comprehensives in the shortfall of bright pupils from state schools at top universities. So it's not the the government get almost everything wrong. It's not the university's fault for not bringing in kids from state schools. It's that state schools aren't teaching them very well. And whose fault's that? That's right. Darth. Grade for grade, pupils on free school meals, poor ones in other words, stand the same chance of entering university as their wealthier peers. So, if I'm from a poor background, if I were born a poor white child, and was so bereft of money that I actually had to get fed by the state, and I got an A, I have just as much chance as some bloke with a double-barrelled surname who went to Eton. So the universities aren't discriminating based on where I come from. They are, quite rightly, discriminating on based on what my exam results are, which is the only way that they can discriminate, right? It's the only thing that's left to them. But that's not how the government sees it. Social engineering. They don't like that a lot of middle-class people are going to university, or the best universities, and they want to change that. Now, as is usually the way, rather than try to fix the cause of the problem, the bad schools, they want to fix the symptom, which is by forcing universities to take pupils who haven't done as well from state schools. That's such upside-down thinking. Are you with me? Crazy. It's long been argued that there are financial and social barriers at the point of entry into higher education, says some doctor at the Institute of Education. This is what the government's saying. They're arguing that there are financial and social barriers at the point of entry into higher education which prevent poorer students from going into university. That's what the government says. This research shows clearly that the main reason why poorer students don't go to university to the same extent as their wealthier peers is that they have weaker academic achievements in schools. In other words, they don't deserve to go. The findings are likely to reignite criticism of social engineering practices in university admissions, such as giving extra entry points to students from deprived postcodes or poor-performing schools. It's kind of like... It's a bit like the top-up fees at the NHS. We don't want some people to do well, a strata of society to do well. We'd prefer that everyone did equally badly. That's the way it's going, really. Nuts. So that's apropos of nothing at all. That's one aspect of the education debate that's been raging just a little while ago. The government is saying Oxford, Cambridge and so on must take more state school pupils because they're discouraging them going because they don't like working class kids. That's what they're saying, essentially. Quite the reverse is true. They're just as likely to get in if they get good grades. They're not getting good grades because their schools aren't any good. And whose fault's that? Correct. There is more to this. It rages far and wide. If you've got any opinions on that, then I'd be interested to hear them. 0845 6060 973. I'll go to degrees in a minute. Well, the next step is to universities in general. I'll talk about that in a moment. First in, Gravesend. Hello, Donna.
Hello, Nick.
Hey, Donna.
Hey, honey. How you doing?
Very well, thanks.
Good. I was just phoning up about the hotels and taking the pillows. Actually, I've got to confess, I took my pillow with me last year to Alaska.
Alaska?
Yeah, we went on a cruise. My boyfriend surprises me every now and then. We go on cruises.
Blimey, that was a surprise.
It was beautiful. It is absolutely gorgeous. But, yeah, I always, if I don't take, well, last year we did squeeze my pillow into my case. But
they take up such a lot of room.
They do squeeze. They just, because your suitcase opens up a little bit, doesn't it? You can put it on top of all your clothes,
right,
and then squeeze it down, and it squishes it all down anyway. So it does get in there quite easily. But if you don't take your pillow, then I do take my pillowcase, a nice, clean, fresh pillowcase.
But what about
got a clue. I think it's something to do with making me feel like I'm at home still when I'm in bed.
Right.
It's a comfort thing.
But see, I go on holiday, that's the last thing I want to feel like I'm at home.
No, I'm frightened of travelling, really. I think I'm going to die every time we go across the country. So I'm a bit of a wussy.
And your boyfriend took you on a cruise to Alaska?
Alaska. The first one was the Caribbean, the second one was Alaska, but... Yeah, once I'd been there, though, I don't mind going there ever again. I'll go there as many times as he'd like to take me.
So presumably when you go to Alaska, you don't actually get off the boat, right?
Yeah. You get off at the states that you stop at. They pull up in port and you get off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so it's not just cruising through
No, you stop
icebergs
at,
and
you
so
go
on.
to Ketchikan and all Skagway, and
Right.
there's all beautiful ports that you pull into.
What time of year did you go?
We've been in July.
Is there a massive insect? Because I imagine that Alaska, as wild as it is, would have insects the size of Volkswagens.
Well, because you're at sea most of the time, there's no. We haven't seen any. Andy goes cycling and on trekking trips and that as well because he's quite fit. So he goes off and does that, and he hasn't. He saw bears, and he's seen them as he was going on a hike. He saw a mummy and 2 baby bears last year.
Oh.
But he didn't. No, he hasn't been bitten or anything.
Right, by bears. No, good.
No.
He's fit and he surprises you with exotic holidays. Donna,
Yeah.
I think you've got a live one there you want to keep in, yeah.
Best one, I tell you that, Nick.
All
and
right.
I've got to tell you this, when we go into
on.
a hotel room that they put us up in from
Yeah.
the cruise company,
Right.
we walk into and every time we walk into our hotel room, we are aghast with how much room there is in each room, and the pillows on the beds are just, you just get in the bed and you sink into it, and it's got like the Egyptian cotton sheets and
makes you never want to come home, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Really beautiful.
I know, if only home came with Egyptian cotton sheets and room service.
Absolutely. And the sea, of course.
Yeah.
And the sea, yeah.
And the toilet paper folded into a point.
Oh, lovely.
That's the part I like the
Yeah,
best.
you do know.
All right, thanks very much, Donna.
Take care, honey. Bye.
Cheers. 0845 6060 973 814 and a half. LBC Travel with Maggie Doyle.
Thanks very much. Well, in Barra, the A2. Okie dokie.
I think Jenny Barnett had something in that clip from her show. She was talking about Gordon Brown and how he doesn't have the face for the job. And unfortunately, that's what the job is now. He is a politician of the old school, when it didn't really matter what you looked like. I mean, look at the list of politicians that we've had to be PM. There's not a good-looking one among them, apart from, I suppose you could possibly say, in recent history. Tony Blair, well, didn't do anything for me, but it wasn't hideous to behold, right? Gordon, on the other hand, I mean, look at Winston Churchill. Was Winston Churchill a good-looking man? No. No, of course not. But that was a baggy face that you felt, reinforced by. It's not quite the right word, but I'll just leave it there anyway. I think with modern-day politics, it's all about how you come over on TV, and unfortunately, that's not Gordon's strong point. And I feel a bit, with each day that passes, you feel a little bit more sorry for him. Do you feel sorry for him? Well, a little bit. Because these are problems that are befalling him now. The reason that he's so very unpopular now is not his fault. The global downturn in the economy, not his fault. Okay, we would be a little bit better off if he hadn't sold gold when he did, but not enough to actually make a giant difference. I think it's about 3 days' worth of tax, something like that. Staggering. £3 billion. In fact, it's probably not even 3 days. It's probably 2 days worth of tax now, isn't it? 3 billion. I think that's pretty much what he lost by selling it when he did. He compounded his mistake by telling everybody that he was selling it, of course, which immediately made the price go through the floor. Not very prudent, but we'll just pass over that. The price of oil going through the roof, not his fault. The price of eggs having charged up, not his fault. None of this is actually his fault, but he's getting blamed for all of it. Why? Because he has a baggy, unlovely face. Simon Hoggart in The Guardian said that he looks like the poster boy for 2 hours sleep at night. And he does. It's exactly right. When compared with George Bush, when the two were standing side by side, it looked like Gordon Brown was the ghost of Christmas past. It looked like he was hardly even there. George Bush was chipper and, jokey and at ease, and Gordon was stumbly and uncomfortable and stuttering. He just is not a politician of the modern age. Now, that's not, I would suggest, a good thing. It's not a good thing that we now just want superficial, skin-thin people who look good on television. It's not actually going to do us any good in the long term, is it? Very occasionally, every now and again, you might get lucky, and somebody with a bit of gumption, with a bit of substance, might look good on television. Like, hopefully, this Barack Obama. Comes across great on telly. Whether he actually has got anything underneath the surface remains to be seen. But we're all got our fingers crossed and we're hoping, right? Here's a call in Bracknell. Hello, Geoffrey.
Yeah, I was interested in you trying to spark off a discussion and debate about how people from various social backgrounds make progression through the educational system.
Yeah.
And whether it's unjustly weighted in favour of those from privileged backgrounds, or whether the people from less privileged backgrounds are actually not particularly adept at both playing the educational system and also engaging into it.
Right. Well, I think that the bottom line seems to be, if you have an A star in maths and English and French and whatever it is, and somebody else has exactly the same results, you won't be discriminated against because you're poor, which is what the government was suggesting. You'll be discriminated against because you won't get those results in the first place because you'll go to a government-funded school that's rubbish.
Yeah, well, I think it's one of the statements you can make in terms of support of state-educated pupils having disadvantage against private-educated pupils is class numbers. I mean, it just comes down to basic that if you go to a nice posh school, say like Eton or Winchester or I don't know.
Eton or Winchester.
Downside is that when you're doing your GCSE O levels, you're probably in a class of 15. Within a state school, the numbers are doubled.
Right.
So teacher pupil ratios are much higher. Well, you're a disadvantage if you go to a state school.
Correct.
Especially if you also got in your class pupils who don't really realise why they're at school, and they think they're at school to play out Grand Theft Auto.
Well, the problem there is that everybody gets that streaming seems to be a bad word. You can't take an intelligent group of people and all teach them in the intelligent class. Everybody from the brightest to the thickest has to be in the same class because it's more, I don't know.
Egalitarian.
Yeah, socially acceptable, right. And so
egalitarian.
A fool could tell you that you will eventually only learn as fast as the slowest pupil, thereby robbing, essentially, the brightest children of their future. It's crazy.
The Japanese have quite a good, intelligent approach to that because I think they have mixed ability classes. But what they do is they develop their high-level achievers even further by developing not their intellectual ability even high up to higher IQ level, but by developing their social skills in terms of managerial ability. Because what the teacher will do is they'll get a high achiever and high intelligent pupil to actually guide the lower intelligent ones through the process of their educational process, or like a set question or a task they've been given, or preparation for exams. I imagine that they still do exams on an individual basis with no conferring, but the Japanese they approach the same way as they approach industry and business. They don't see it as an individual achievement thing. They see it as a cooperative task where everyone...
Yeah, it's very, very difficult to compare us with the Japanese on any level, really, because they're completely different societies. I mean, the Japanese don't, as far as I know, have the same kind of problems with, I don't know how you want to put it, but crime, and in general, dissolute individuals that we do.
Well, it's much more conformist society, yeah. It's much more conformist society. And
much more polite.
Yeah, well, it's because they haven't chucked away their traditions. They've still got Buddhist thinking influencing Zen Buddhist thinking influencing their everyday activities. Whereas we've got this idea of liberty and individual freedom. I want to do what I want to do. That's my right. And to that extent, if you follow that too far, you get down to the road of chaos and anarchy.
Yeah, mind you, if I had to choose a life listening to their music with their politeness and listening to ours with the chaos and the anarchy, I know which I'd choose.
Well, can I just say one other thing?
Yes.
In terms of privileged educational backgrounds, when I went to a state educational school and I failed abysmally because I was a bit of a dropout. But I've met some people, hoo-ha Henrys and Tory toffs, and from, in fact, some of them joined the Labour Party, believe it or not. But, but what they knew a lot of the time was that, look, because their parents were paying extra for them to be at that private school, that fact was very much they made very much aware of that fact. They knew why they were there. They knew the purpose of their, why they were sent away to boarding school, and they suffered the emotional turmoil of being wrenched from their parents' bosom of their parents' house. And they got on, and they also within themselves created a culture, a competitive culture, where they were going to be ashamed that if they didn't make it through from Winchester, Eton, or Downside to one of the top universities, they would see themselves as great failures.
Well, I went to a state school, a comprehensive in Chelmsford in Essex, and then a private school in Edinburgh. I sort of switched about halfway through. And the first thing that occurred to me was the children are basically the same everywhere. And the second, in retrospect, was that I think one of the major differences in the sort of attitude in the two places was that it wasn't cool to be stupid at the private school, whereas a lack of knowledge seems to be a badge of honour at state schools. They seem to revel in the fact that they don't know anything. It's uncool to learn. Whereas I think you're absolutely right, because they knew that why they were there, and they didn't perhaps really appreciate the amount of money that their parents were paying, the sort of the trials that the parents had to go through to get them there. But they had a vague sense that trying might be a good thing.
Yeah, and I think they engaged in it as well. But there was that sort of snobbery thing was that if you didn't do particularly well in your French oral exams, then you were a twit and an idiot, and you'd failed. And also that private schools they want to be in the rugger team. I really want to be in the rugger team. I really want to play fly half. It'd be great for the weekend. Whereas at state schools say, nah, I don't want to do that.
I took that state school mentality to private school. I didn't want to be in the rugger team. What are you joking?
No,
it was freezing blooming cold out there for a start. They were running into each other. What kind of a silly game is that?
Yeah, well, you're probably an arty-farty sort of liberty-minded kind of, go nowhere kind of. You're probably reading something like, I don't know, you're probably reading Jean-Paul Sartre.
I think the most that I read was the TV Guide.
Well, how did you get onto what you got onto? Well, you got onto red brick, didn't you? How did you manage to wangle into red brick? Did you cheat in your exams then, at your A-levels?
I went to Brunel University. It was actually made out of red bricks. Yeah, you're right.
Well, I know it wasn't a scummy little sort of no bit sort of. It wasn't like Lincoln Polytechnic, where they've turned into East Anglia University.
Well, this was before they made your local garage into a university. Yeah, this was before that sort of wave of new universities. But I think it was. I mean, it certainly wasn't Oxford or Cambridge. It was hideous to behold. It looks like a chemicals factory out there. And mostly it was mechanical engineers and, sort of full-on, hands-on chemists and, all these people wandering around in their Iron Maiden T-shirts with giant bunches of keys that looked like they were the gatekeepers to the Tower of London wandering about.
Nick, you haven't done too badly, because you talk for about 20 hours a week in an intelligent, informed way about nothing. And you get paid a reasonable amount of money to do that. You don't seem to be starving to me. And you can run a petrol-driven motor car, which you almost need a second mortgage to do nowadays.
Actually, I'm a bit peckish at the moment. Maybe Victoria will go and make me a sandwich.
Well, I better get off, because I'll just waffle on all night.
Oh, yeah, undoubtedly, yeah. Even on your own. In an empty room, you'd waffle on all night.
Bye.
Thanks a lot. 0845 6060 973. That's the phone number. You can text on 84850. Yeah, I think that pretty much what he was saying was kind of right there. There does seem, in state schools, to be, it's cool not to learn, right? It's cool to be at the back, flick spit balls at each other, or whatever it is they do, flick knives at each other. And thereby disrupt the entire class, make the teacher's job completely impossible so that they're not teaching anymore. It's crowd control. And that's the problem with putting everybody in the same class. Do they still do that? Are they still insisting that you can't select students out and teach them at streaming? They call it streaming, right? That's like a big no-no for the current government. Is that right? Have I got that correct? Streaming?
I think there are some schools that still stream. My brother's still at school and he's in streaming.
Right. What kind of school is he at?
A normal secondary school.
Oh, okay. But I thought that they were dead set against it, streaming, that everyone has to all have the same poor exactly like the NHS. If you are dying of cancer, the government would rather sit across a table with its arms folded and watch you die than you help yourself. You will not help yourself. You will only get the help that we give you, they say, because that's the help that everybody gets. We refuse to let you help yourself by buying top-up pills, until the Daily Mail got on their case, and then they were beaten into a retreat. I swear, is there a single positive thing that the government does that is not instructed to do so by the titans of the press? This is LBC 97.3. It's 8:30.
6060973.
Hello?
Now, bins or rubbish, recycling just came up in the news as well, apart from the list of recent deaths in your area, which seems to be the way the news has gone now. When I went to America first, I was astounded at what the news was like over there, because at the time it was like 1982 and we hadn't really caught that whole Americanization of the news bug. And in this country, it was very stiff. I mean, when you see old news broadcasts, it's amazing how stiff they are compared to the loose, giggling dopes that we got presenting the news at the moment. And you go to America, and it was the sort of archetypal cardboard cutout bloke and his bubble-headed blonde bimbo sidekick. And it was just a list of recent deaths in your area. This guy got shot, and this guy got stabbed, and this other guy got shot, and it made you terrified to leave the house. And sure enough, that's what we've got now. That's the news now. And when they finished listing the deaths in your area, here's a list of deaths in the sandy countries. There's no end to it. The phone number 0845 6060 973. Maybe I should talk about bins. Let me take this call first. He's been waiting a good long while. M25. Hello, Bill.
Hello there, yeah?
Yes, Bill.
Is that Nick Abbott?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it sounds slightly different. I listen to your programme quite often, and it comes across to me as a party political broadcast on behalf of the Tory party. I voted for all three main parties over the last 30-odd years, so I'm not really any of them too much.
Really? I've only ever voted Labour, but go on.
Have you? Yeah. Well, I voted Tony in because I think had the Tories got another session, I think there would no longer be a health service, and that is the main reason I voted for him. But I know full well that he's not really Labour. Him and his parents have been brought up Conservative, and
that's right. He could have joined either party.
Yeah,
he just saw his chance with Labour. Yes, that's right. They've all met in the middle, and you could barely stick a Rizzler paper between them.
Yes, that's right. But I'm going to join you in pilloring Gordon Brown, because you're talking about his appearance, but I think the reason why the voters are fed up with him is because of his policies of hitting the less well off and the pensioners. You know. I'm a pensioner, and he's pricing me off the road. I don't know if that's his intention, but he was on an interview with Levy, I think it was, couple of weeks ago, and Mr. Levy said he was a man of integrity. And I think what man wakes up in the morning and says, now who can I tax and get some money in? Oh, no, I'll pick on the less well-off and the pensioners. And now that, to me, does not sound like a man of integrity, you know?
Well, apparently, the amount that we're giving in tax is not enough for his socialist purposes.
Yeah, schemes that he's got, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, which are mostly aimed at helping the people, you know, supposedly aimed at people less well-off, such as yourself.
Yeah,
So,
well, why is he taking this? Why is he trying to take this money off of the less well-off and the pensioners? You know, that's what I don't understand. And also this new thing that's come out, you know, about the old cars and that. You know, I mean, that's really going to hit a lot of us, isn't it? You know.
On the other hand, Bill, a little while ago, we were all trying to think desperately of ways to save the planet. The chief amongst them was to drive less. And as soon as we all start having a good reason to drive less, then we all start complaining.
Well, yes, I must admit I'm not too much for all this saving the planet business. I think it'll get on okay, personally.
Well, you won't be around to see it.
No, that's true. That's true.
I'm sorry that you get the impression that this is a Conservative Party broadcast. The only reason that you might have got that idea is because Labour are the party that have been in for 10 years. The Tories haven't done anything in a good long while for us to talk about.
They've been absolutely pilloried, you know. I mean, all Cameron's doing is looking at the papers, seeing the situation, and say, the public like that. Oh, yeah, I think I'll go.
Well, that's the job of the party in opposition. That's what they do.
Yeah, but I mean, as I say, I mean, if had Tories got in, what amazes me is why Labour don't publicise the fact that there would be no National Health Service.
Well, how on earth do you know that? It's just you're just guessing.
They were heading that way very quickly, weren't they? I mean, I've had a quadruple bypass, you know, and if I had have waited 18 months, which was the waiting time before Tony got in, I wouldn't be here now because I was suffering very badly, you know, and so I did vote Labour because I felt that they saved my life at the time, you know.
Right, but they've spent untold billions and actually achieved very little. I mean, that's been shown to be true again and again.
I must admit that. Yeah. So, did you see the programme that I think the chap Russell, who used to help failing businesses out? He went to I think it was Papworth, and he tried to sort them out. I think he has a little bit. Did you see any of that? Or get
No, I'm afraid not. No, I don't know what.
He goes to companies and sees what's going wrong and tries to put it right. And he went to Papworth, and I think they had 6 or 7 operating theatres, and they were only using one for 3 hours a day.
Yes, and I did hear about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was incredible, wasn't it? And
and that's under a Labour government, not a Tory government.
Yes, but what they were doing, one of these doctors, in actual fact, I think 5 or 6 doctors, and 5 of them were actually Asians. I think there was one English one, but one of the doctors, I think it may have been an Asian one, actually had enough and left because he could see lists building up, and yet they weren't using the operating theatres, and
Probably because they spent all their money on advisors and
what they were doing.
Policy wonks.
This doctor went to a private concern, and he was doing operations, simple operations. The hospital, the NHS hospital, were giving the private doctors work, you know, which obviously the NHS would have paid fortunes to have done, but they were all the simple. He said they were all the simple operations they could have easily done themselves.
Right, and a simple operation, of course, hides the fact that the person with that condition's life is being ruined by this simple thing that they're waiting forever and a day to get done. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Yes, I must admit, when I was waiting, they said that it would. He said it would be 3 months. He said if this had have been a year ago, it'd have been 18 months. He said, so you're lucky. But as it happened, they got in touch with me about a week later, and they had a gap, and I ended up having my surgery a week later. You know.
Right.
But as I say, I was grateful to the Labour Party at the time, but they are doing finishing the National Health gradually by the back door, aren't they? You know.
Well, you know, other countries seem to survive without a National Health Service, and they seem to have a better health provider than we do. But that's a really complicated argument, and we can sit here talking about it forever and a day.
Yeah, I've seen the programme in America where in one programme I saw, there was a chap dying, leaning up against a tree, sitting up against a tree in the front garden, and he was dying because he didn't have any insurance, and they were saying that, you know, this chap is going to die in the front garden, you know, which seemed horrific, you know.
Yeah.
Like to get us like that.
Well, don't go to America without insurance, Bill. Thanks a lot. I've got to go.
Condition. Thank you.
Cheers,
Bye.
mate. Ta-ra. 0845 6060 973. On that related topic, almost £1 billion was, not a million, £1 billion was spent increasing choice and competition in the health service, and hasn't delivered any significant benefits for patients, according to an official report published just the other day. The changes have failed to increase the number of patients being treated outside hospital, one of the main aims of the reforms. So they spent £1 billion on getting people to be treated for their little conditions outside the hospital, with no effect. They might as well just have set fire to the money. The health service also doesn't collect enough information to allow patients a true choice. See, that was the whole thing. You've got to have a choice between the hospital. How on earth are you going to make that choice? You've got no idea how to make that choice. You don't know whether you're going to be better off in this hospital or that hospital. How do you know? How do you know unless you've actually had that condition treated in both hospitals to see which is better? No clue. I don't really understand that whole concept. You choose to have it done by this doctor or that doctor. How do you know which is the best? What's the point of giving you that choice? Why don't they just get you to the quickest, best? Most patients want details on the quality of care provided by different hospitals, but that data isn't being collected by the Department of Health, making any choice completely arbitrary. Norman Lamb, the Liberal Democrat health spokesman, said this is a depressing verdict on 11 years of endless, contradictory reform in the NHS, which has cost taxpayers a lot of money and delivered little benefit to patient care. And it's all about targets again. I mean, the one that I keep saying over and over, which is, and I checked it with my doctor friend just to make sure that I wasn't giving you lies. One of their big targets was, well, we want to say that you can be seen in accident emergency within, I can't remember exactly how much, let's say 4 hours. Which seems like a blooming long time to sit there, sitting on one of them uncomfortable plastic chairs, so long that your bottom practically fuses to it. 4 hours you will only wait in A&E. And so if at 3 hours and 59 minutes you haven't actually been seen yet, they'll just send you into the corridor, wheel you there if you're on a bed, and now you're not in A&E anymore. Problem solved. Tick that little box, you can carry on. And Gordon Brown will say, of course, we're meeting our target by 100%, but it doesn't actually mean that people are benefiting. It just means that he can say he's done a good job. And that's what that entire thing seems to be about. Targets, target cultures. It affects the police, it affects education, and it affects the health service. And of those three categories, are any of them are any of them standing under a waterfall of praise? Are they being flowers of goodwill being thrown on any of those services? The police, the NHS, and education. Have you heard any good news about any of those lately? No. But they're all meeting their targets. The whole world's gone crazy. It's 8:44. LBC Travel with Maggie Doyle.
Thank you very much. Well, in Borough, the A2, Great Dover Street.
Affirmative.
Hey, fancy winning a trip to Italy? LBC are giving you the chance to win 2 nights in Sorrento with fully inclusive car hire, excuse me, and entrance to Pompeii. Whether you want the latest news affecting your industry or the latest sports stories, The Times offers in-depth coverage. Their award-winning sports journalists include Simon Barnes, Martin Samuel, Johnny Wilkinson, Gabrielle Marcotti and Matt Dickinson. And all you have to do is to make sure that you listen to Nick Ferrari at breakfast this Friday for your chance to win a holiday in Italy with The Times. Nick Ferrari, this Friday, LBC 97.3. Good luck. The phone number 0845 6060 973. Here's one on the M3. Hello, Mike.
Hi, Nick.
Mike.
It's about Gordon Brown. I just feel sometimes he's really uncomfortable in his own skin.
Yes.
I don't know if you saw this the other day. Did you see when President Bush arrived at Downing Street?
I read about it. What,
well,
the kissing?
Oh my God! It was so embarrassing. He's shaken. They've got President Bush and Laura Bush have arrived. He's grabbed Laura Bush's hand, shaken her hand. But as he's turned around, he's noticed that President Bush is kissing Sarah Brown. So he's then re-grabbed Laura Bush and given her 2 smackers on the cheek. and it was just like he looked so uncomfortable doing it.
Yes, it's not very good socially. I mean, you'd have to say that as a PM, he's doomed simply because he doesn't come over well on telly.
And also his smile, he almost looks like the smile is so contrived, and then once he's done the smile, it goes straight back to normal again.
Yes, exactly right, yeah, as though the effort of maintaining the crease in his face is just too much.
The breathing thing as well, you know that breathing thing he does?
Yes.
That's the one! That's the one! Well, I'm sure he must have had, what are those lessons called that, when they try and, elocution lessons or whatever, and they said, right, you do this breathing thing, but when it's a question time, watch him tomorrow. If he gets a bit excitable, the elocution lessons come out the window, and the breathing thing, he does the breathing thing again.
I always assumed that it was because he couldn't take air in through his nose.
It's like a strange, I don't know if it's not a stutter, but it's like that sort of affliction, if you like.
But it does look as though he's doing it, and because he has to stop speaking in order to it's almost like he's a fish gasping for air. His jaw drops, and he sucks in air as, well, it's a silly thing to say, but as though his life depended on it, which of course it does. But I just assumed that it was because his nose was blocked.
No, I don't know. I think it's more of an affliction. But Jenny Barnett had a point, though, on the advert she was running last week. I actually feel, I've never voted, I wouldn't vote for him in a million years, but I actually feel that he's getting, he can't seem to do anything right. His personality, it all seems to be going wrong for him. And I do feel sometimes a little bit, that we're all picking on him, and I think, maybe it shouldn't be on personality, but...
But you can't help yourself, can you?
You can't help yourself, exactly. Mind you saying that, did you see Blair was on GMTV the other day?
No.
And I must admit, I thought, up to now, I was thinking, Blair wasn't that bad, but then he just came over all smarmy again. I thought, no, I'm glad he's gone, actually, as well. So.
Right. OK, well, we ain't got no smarm anymore, that's for sure.
No, he is smarmy. He's even smarmy now that because I think he's a bit happy the way it's going for Gordon Brown. He sat there on that GMTV sofa and was like, the smirk on his face.
Yeah, yes, there's no happier man on the face of the planet, yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all right, thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Not happy in his own skin. Well, neither would I be happy in his skin. I think part of the reason is it doesn't come in his size. He should try on a smaller size. It's just all baggy about him. Yeah, are we not feeling a little bit sorry? Hands up, you don't have to put your hand way up in the air, just poke up a little finger if you're feeling a tiny, itsy bit sorry for... Yes, OK. That's 100%, say yes through there. Because essentially none of these things are actually his fault. I mean, you could pin the blame for our economy, but we're being buffeted by stronger winds. The world is on a downturn. So even if he had done super fantastically over the last 10 years, then we'd still be in a right state. And there is an argument that a Chancellor of the Exchequer doesn't actually do very much. He's either lucky or unlucky. And Gordon Brown was lucky, because he happened to preside over a period of great growth, almost all of which, apart from perhaps the loosening of the ties in the City of London, the relaxation of the rules about what you could get away with, so almost none, apart from that, of the growth had actually anything to do with him. He just sat there and was blown along by it. So he was lucky in that respect. Unlucky in the respect that he didn't leave. If he'd left when Tony left, he would have gone down in history as one of the greatest Chancellors of the Exchequer of all time. Look, where we started when he came in and where we finished when he went out, and that would have been his history sealed. Unfortunately, he didn't stop there. If only he'd stopped there. Some other mug would have taken the blame. Yes, a little bit sorry. 0845 6060 973. I got kind of blown off course, really, because I wasn't talking about this at all. How on earth did we get onto him? It was Jenny Barnett's fault. But I was talking about education and also how hotel rooms smell, which is actually how we started all this. How we got from there to here, I've absolutely no idea. We should release string behind us so we can find our way back. And on the subject of how hotel rooms smell, and not one single story or tale of any kind about hotel rooms has come in. Not one single, unless it has come in by text and I haven't seen it. Not a thing. Nobody has any amusing or horrific tale about a hotel room to share with us. Oh well. I'll just have to take that as nothing interesting has ever happened to anyone in a hotel. You believe that if you want to. 0845 6060 973. And that started with Victoria letting on that she takes a pillow with her on holiday. Like her own hygienic teddy bear. The assumption being that the nasty bed bugs stop at the pillow. They'll be all over it like a rash. Literally.
Before you continue moaning, I would like to add that it's not just for hygiene, it's also because my pillow is the old-fashioned feather type.
Ah, yes.
And it keeps me cool, whereas the ones in hotels tend to be flat and foamy.
Foamy, yeah, I hate those. Yeah. That's why you need you should never go to a hotel that doesn't have a pillow menu. I mean it. Plus a sheet menu, too. Oh, they're fantastic. I've never actually had the nerve to call down and ask them to change the sheets and kind of have a different kind of pillow. But it's there if I, felt the need. A text. How about, because this is how it all started. The Travelodge Hotel Group is now scenting their rooms. And I asked, what smell would you like to greet you as you open your hotel room? And the first one, in fact the only one that's come in so far, was the sea. Which I would never have thought of, but was the number one choice. A text. How about the fragrant aroma of Pete Doherty and Amy Winehouse at dawn? Lovely. It should be bottled, it says. Just the very thought of it is really turning my stomach. Can you imagine what that smells like? I hope they sleep with the window open. Is she dead yet, by the way? Huh?
I believe she fainted.
She fainted, really? I wonder why. Another text. When entering a hotel room, the most pleasant smell has to be freshly washed and dried bed linen. But what does that smell like? That actually doesn't smell of anything. Unless they've added fabric softener, some sort of smelly smell. That smells of nothing at all. Perhaps that's what they mean. The smell of nothing at all. You used to go into hotel rooms and they smelled of cigarettes. Vile. How about flowers? Actually, when I said I've only ever voted Labour, that was a lie. I have actually voted Tory once for a local... you can say this stuff on the air, can't you? Yeah. I have for a local council election, because I like the way they fix the flowers outside my room. Flowers! I like flowers! So I thought, all right, well, you go on with your bad selves. I'll vote you in again. I don't care that you award yourselves £130,000 a year just to put the flowers in the beds. I didn't, because Labour, if there was a change in administration, they might concrete over those flower beds. You never know. So I'll just stick with what I know, I thought. A text. The snowboarder at the Olympics who tested positive for cannabis was reinstated on appeal because the authorities agreed that it wasn't performance-enhancing. Really? I didn't know that. Is that true? The dude who was smoking the wacky-backy at the Winter Olympics it was one of those crazy trick skiers. Snowboarders, yeah. He was listening to his iPod, stoned off his face, at the Olympics, going for a medal. Well, you've got to take your hat off to the man, haven't you? And I think that's great that he got it reinstated. I'm quite surprised by that because, usually it's a no-tolerance thing if it's any kind of drug. And they're in a race to the death to find people taking drugs. And usually the athletes that are taking them, their science is far more advanced than the science of the people who are trying to catch them out. So when they do come up with someone who accidentally forgot to take the right diuretic or whatever it is to flush it from their system, they just cock a hoop and they try and nail them to the wall. So I'm quite amazed that they let the guy go. Rock on! It's LBC 97.3, 8:58.
Mr. Bungalow, consult... Absolutely.
Now, a little while ago, somebody was talking about, I think it was a trail for one of our programmes about recycling. Now, there was something interesting about... I'm sort of darting all over the place with these topics. I haven't finished one single blooming one. Have you noticed that, Victoria? And it's all your fault.
I'm sorry if I'm such a distraction.
Because I was going to talk about... maybe I should stick to one and then do the other ones tomorrow. What do you think?
Well, you're the professional.
Or do you like a confetti of different topics raining down on you during the course of this super show?
I thought that's normally what happened anyway.
It kind of is, yeah. But you see, I don't have to listen to it. I only have to sit here and do it. I don't listen to a word of this programme. I can't stand me.
Neither do I. I don't listen either.
What? Well, maybe I should stick to education. I'll come back to it. But what I'll do now is recycling. Of course, people are exercised about their bins and the collection or lack thereof. Household dustbin collections could be cut to once a month, according to an industry expert who said the move was inevitable to force people to recycle more. The plans were immediately condemned by campaigners who said that leaving rubbish to fester for up to 4 weeks is a health hazard. Gosh, you don't say. Once a month. That is staggering, isn't it? How much is the council tax now? It's about £1,200, something like that, depending on where you live. £1,200 a year. So, on a monthly basis, that's 1,000, add the 1 and carry the 2, and blimey, that's almost £2 a month. It's 120 quid a month. Of that, how much is refuse collection? Let's say, I don't know, a quarter. Does that sound fair? 3/4 would be for the polish, and the lighting, and the sweeping, stuff like that. So that means every time they come and collect your bin, that's 30 quid. 30 quid! Can you believe it? Stunned. Jaws are dropping all round. Apparently, and I asked if we had any people in Germany listening to this who could corroborate this. They say that in Germany they only collect rubbish once a month, 12 times a year, which is an even worse way of thinking about it, isn't it? They'll collect your rubbish 12 times a year. What a shocker. But they say that that's what they do in Germany, and everybody thinks of Germany as a society that's extremely well run, efficient, clean, and pristine. Vorsprung durch Technik, they say. You know what that means, don't you?
No. I never did German.
I did it for a year. We learnt the verb to drive, at which we all collapsed into a heap of giggles, and that was about the most I ever paid attention to German. I just got to, I drive up the street, and it's so hilarious to children learning the language that I just couldn't take it seriously anymore.
You've got me intrigued.
Ah, well, you'll have to look it up then, won't you? To make matters worse, it also emerged yesterday that householders could face £5,000 fines for preventing bin inspectors going through their rubbish. Going through your rubbish. Now, I know that James O'Brien was talking about this. There was a trail for his show a little while ago saying that your rubbish is essentially something you've thrown out. It's not yours anymore. Why should you even be bothered? Not true. It is yours. If somebody goes through your rubbish, that is an invasion of your privacy. Of course it is. The draconian sanction would be... I mean, you wouldn't want somebody going through your motions, would you? The draconian sanction could be imposed using laws designed to combat terrorist threats. Yes, that's right, another one of those. £5,000 fine to prevent... if you prevent bin inspectors from going through your rubbish, which will be imposed using laws designed to combat terrorist threats. Doesn't that beat all? On the other hand, what are they actually doing with the stuff that you put in your recycle bins? They'll fine you £1,000 if you don't put your bin out on time. They'll fine you £1,000 if you don't put the plastic in the correct tub. They'll fine you £1,000 if you put glass in with the papers. They'll fine you £1,000 if you have your bin lid open just slightly too much. They'll fine you £5,000 if you prevent them from taking a peek. But what are they doing with it after they take it away? I thought, facetiously, that they're just taking all of these carefully sorted items and they're chucking it in a big hole in the ground and letting seagulls peck through it. I thought, well, of course they're not, but I'll just say it on the radio. A little while ago I said that. And, it will be a source of amusement all round. Ha, 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 we'll say. Come to find out, I was right. This is a comment column in the Evening Standard just the other day. Laura... Now, she's probably Welsh, and I wish they wouldn't use this word so often. C-R-A-I-K. Crack? There are more exciting things to be doing at 11 o'clock on a Saturday night than rinsing your takeaway containers clean of pak choy and noodles. But I do it anyway, because I want to be green, she says. Next, I walk them to the big plastic box, thoughtfully provided by Camden Council, where they sit, stinkily, beside the old milk and water bottles, bean tins, strawberry punnets, beer cans, wine bottles and cardboard, until Friday. On Friday, after being collected in a carbon-neutral lorry, each item is lovingly separated into piles by a smiling team of youth workers in fair trade cotton boiler suits who hum Coldplay songs as they work. That's the fantasy. She's being facetious. She continues, do you know what co-mingling is? Now, I thought it was what students did at parties while interfering with each other's clothing. Ugh. No, apparently it is not. Apparently, it's what happens to all recycled goods in the borough of Camden, even if individual households have sorted their waste. Unlike in some parts of London, Camden can only lump our recycling together because, staggeringly, it doesn't have the means to transport it separately. This makes the cardboard impossible to turn into paper anywhere in the UK. So they just chuck it all in the same place. You've sorted it all out under threat of being fined into a black hole in space, and they just chuck it all out into a big hole in the ground. You believe that? Actually, it's worse than that. Because they can't sort it out, they take it to... Guess where? Guess which environmentally sound locations they take your rubbish? That's right, the Far East.
What?
The Far East. They take it to China, where it probably ends up as landfill, right? I do know. I mean, I've seen pictures of our placky bags bunging up the gutters in China. You know, Tesco's, Sainsbury's, Waitrose even, probably M&S. It's not just M&S. It's M&S plastic bags, which are blocking the drains that Chinese people are standing over. Isn't that awful? I just think it's staggering that they'll fine you into out of existence if you don't sort all your rubbish, but once it's left you, well, it's not sorted anymore. They'll just chuck it all in together and they think, oh, well, we can't actually separate it all, so we'll just put it on a big boat and just wave goodbye to it, like it's not our problem anymore. Isn't that incredible? I mean, it's what I thought all along, but I thought, nah, not really. I mean, I'll say it as a joke, but they don't really do that, do they? They do that. She says, our efforts may be pathetically small, but we are told they make a difference. To find out that they don't is pretty bleak. And that's the key, isn't it? I mean, essentially, if we separate our newspapers from our plastic milk bottles, it's not going to save the planet, is it? It's the tiniest little difference. Just like if you don't blast away from the traffic lights, but instead crawl slowly away and gradually make up your speed. That's the way I'm driving now. Is anybody else driving that way? I'm actually thinking about conserving petrol as I'm driving. Instead of stamping on the accelerator when the light turns, well, I was going to say green, but it's actually when it turns orange, isn't it? Instead of blasting away from the lights in a cloud of smoke, I now I act like an old-age pensioner who's driving a Rover in a flat cap. Just crawl away from the light. People behind me, furious. And I'm doing like 25, 27 miles an hour. So you've raised your eyes to the roof at me just then, Victoria.
It was you, was it, in my way?
Yes. I'm doing my bit to protect the environment. You know, trying to reduce my greenhouse gas, like Toya used to say. I'm driving like that now. Watching ahead so as I don't ever have to apply the brake. Never apply the brake, by the way. If there's a crocodile of school children crossing the road, just happily plough straight through them. They'll get out the way. It's for their own good. Anyway, she continues. Green seems nothing more than the latest new way to sell us things. The same planet-wrecking things dressed in a 100% recyclable package. I'm furious that after years of dutifully rinsing out my plastic, I might as well have just lobbed it in the bin. Green is the new blackmail, another stick for us to beat ourselves with. When really, it's the councils, the airlines and the supermarkets who have far more blood on their hands than us. It is a bit dispiriting, really, when you do, dib, make an effort and do your best. And it actually is all a giant farrago. It doesn't make the slightest bit of difference because you need them to help you at the other end. If you're going to sort all your rubbish out, you need them to do something about it, about individual piles. Come to find out, that's not what happens at all. They just chuck it in the bin.
I actually, quite worryingly, saw a programme about bottles and said that even if you separate the different colours, they still throw them together, and they use them to make roads. And I thought, of all things, glass is the worst thing you want on the surface of a road.
Well, you'd think so, yeah. As long as they don't use them to make, I was going to say cat's eyes, but they're the driver's friend, thinking that cat's eyes are like gatzos. Well, they sound like gatzos, don't they? As long as they don't make gatzos out of them, that's fine. It's 9:15. LBC Travel with Maggie Doyle.
Thank you very much. Well, in Borough, the A2 Great...
Are you trying to tell me that this is your act?
Here's Sussex. Hello, Angela.
Hello, Nick.
Angela.
Your conversation prompted me to ring up a friend of mine who is German.
Oh, yeah.
He spends half a year here and half in Germany. So I said, how often are your bins emptied?
Yeah.
She said, the same as here, every 2 weeks.
Right.
And she said, that's Braunschweig. So she said, I can't speak about the actual cities. And don't forget, over there's so many flats. People don't often buy their own property.
Yeah, it's not a property-owning culture, is it?
No. So she said, I really don't know about Berlin or, the bigger places.
Yeah.
But where she is, it's the same as we are down here, which is bad enough, because that's only every 2 weeks.
So they were lying about that when they said that Germany has it collected every month?
Well, you can't say the whole of the country, can you?
Well, I suppose not.
Probably. I really don't know, because, London, which I only left 2 years ago, was so different. And I was in the borough of Camden.
And did you
moving down here to these wheelie bins, where you only get emptied once every 2 weeks. It's horrible.
Right.
So if that's bad, I can't imagine what it would be like if it was once a month.
Yes. Now, the place in Germany that you mentioned, I didn't recognise it. It sounded like a swear word, but it was.
It's actually, it's probably me. It's actually Braunschweig.
Right.
If any of your team know where that is, it's about an hour from Hanover.
Okay, so it's out in the country somewhere. It's probably beautiful out there. But that's a different situation to the level of rubbish that builds up in the city.
That's right. She said, I can't speak for Berlin or, the bigger places.
So you'd have to assume... Well, let's not assume, but it would make more sense if rubbish was collected more often in the big city, because there's more of it just hanging around, right?
And in the country, thank you. There's been quite enough rats since I moved.
Right, okay. Thanks a lot, Angela.
Okay.
You can't get away from them, whether in Camden or in Sussex. The rats are everywhere. They will eventually take over. Eventually, once we're been and gone, once the world shrugs us off, as it undoubtedly will eventually, rats and cockroaches, that's all that's going to be left. Rats and cockroaches and pussycats. Did you see that Channel 4 thing a little while ago about what's going to happen when we go? It was basically an exercise in computer-generated... CGI. What's the I? Images. I just beat you to it, Victoria. The look of disappointment on your face. You were about to put me straight, and I got there just in time. Yeah, so basically an exercise in using CGI. They've got this new toy, so they were going to use it, and they couldn't think of anything else to do. And what happens when we go is pussycats take over. The little pussycats. Dogs, on the other hand, too stupid to fend for themselves, by and large. Here is, that was apropos of nothing at all. Here is Feltham. Hello, Christine.
Hi.
Christine.
I was just ringing up to say regarding the rubbish about once every fortnight.
Right.
And, the recycling. Well, in Spain, the dustman comes every morning.
Every morning?
Every day they come, in the morning, early in the morning. And also they have, you have to, if you... for instance, we had a skip, because we wanted to get rid of a load of rubbish.
Yeah.
It costed us £190 to have the skip, but out in Spain, there's a bit of wasteland somewhere, and the skip's all free. You just take the rubbish there, and it's free.
Right.
And also, the council tax is half what we pay here.
And yet, when I was driving around Spain, which I did over much of the south between Malaga, Cordoba, Seville, Granada, what's that area called again? It's
Andalusia.
Andalusia, exactly right. The roads were much better maintained than they are here.
Here, yes. And we're meant to be in front of Spain.
Well, yes. I mean, there is this sort of idea in the back of our minds that Spain, compared to here, is like a third world country, but quite the reverse is true. Yeah.
No, I've got a property in Spain, and if I could pack up work and everything here, I'd go there tomorrow.
Where is it? Just you don't have to tell me.
Costa Blanca.
Right. It's a very concerning time to be owning a property in Spain, isn't it? Because they're taking back a lot of land that was developed without having gone through the correct channels.
Yeah, no, we went through a proper company.
Right.
It was all above board.
Right, okay. All right, well, enjoy it. I'm sure you will.
Also, today I got a letter through my letterbox and one of these green bins, because I don't recycle, because I have done in the past, but they only take certain things, and 1 week I was left with half of rubbish, so I didn't do it again. And I've just had a letter this morning with another bin delivered saying that we've been keeping an eye on you, you must recycle.
We know where you live. Yeah.
So I think I use that as another a pot for the plant.
Right. Well, that is recycling in a sense, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well done, Christine. You're doing your bit. All right, thanks for that.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Ta-da. 0845 6060 973. Here's a call in Romford. Hello, Glenn.
Hello, Nick. That monthly collection thing, that's got to be nonsense, hasn't it?
Well, that's what they're saying.
That's a politician's answer. There's probably one bloke 6,000 foot up a mountain in Bavaria somewhere, and they collect his rubbish on a monthly basis. But then that gives them a chance to say, they collect monthly over there. I mean, if they're going to collect monthly over here, everybody's going to end up having to have a waste disposal or some sort, aren't they, to get rid of the waste food for a start?
Actually, that's an interesting point. When you go to America, everybody's got the big plug hole in the middle of the kitchen sink, and they put all their waste down there. When have you ever seen that in this country?
Well, it'll come fairly soon, because a council will fine you for not having one. Then the water rates company will probably charge you extra for having one and using it in any case.
But think about that, though. I mean, in America, you don't get sinks in kitchens that come without it. Every single sink, I would guess, in America has got one of these waste disposal things in the middle. We don't have them at all in this country. Why is that?
Well, perhaps, most of our plumbing and drains and so forth, certainly in London, is Victorian, isn't it? And I imagine that the stuff going down the tubes will block the whole thing up for even more rapidly than it does whenever it rains at the moment.
Maybe, yeah. But you'd have to say that in New York, they've got more or less the same era of drainage that we do. Is that true?
Yes. Well, no, not quite. the buildings over there aren't as old, are they? I mean, they're generally 20th century, whereas most of the plumbing in London, I think, certainly in the middle of it, was laid in the mid 1800s. So
right.
But even so, yeah, I mean, if eventually you're going to find that the people that can afford to have their rubbish collected are going to end up paying for it privately.
Oh, not a two-tier system, Peter.
You are not. Well, it's going to happen, isn't it? Those that can afford to get rid of it aren't going to have it sitting outside for a month, and those that can't afford to get rid of it, like me, will end up looking for places to fly tip it. I mean, where is this all going to go?
We'll be looking at building our houses out of it.
Well, I mean, the recycle stuff they collect, they turn into speed camera casings already, apparently.
No, don't say that.
Yeah, the stuff that ends up in China, they don't ship it over there. They end up lobbing it into the sea off of the cliffs of Dover when it's dark, so nobody can see it. I mean, and also the cost of the bin inspectors. I mean, they seriously, if you pay somebody $20,000 a year to go around and check the bins, you've got, by the time you pay their tax and insurance and stuff, you're talking $30,000. They've got to be chucking out fines like confetti.
Well, that's only 6 fines, because you'll get fined £5,000 if you prevent them looking through your bin. So that's six people. Blimey, they'll be making money.
Yeah, they'll say that though, but then they'll have to try and take you to court for the money, and as people's houses aren't going to be worth $5,000 in 6 months, there'll be no point in that.
It's just happy with you, Glenn.
I'm just full of the joys.
Aren't you just? Yeah.
Cheers, Nick.
Thanks a lot. 0845 6060 973. I will do some texts, actually, because I've got a lot in. I haven't read any in a little while. If you want to text, it's 84850. A text. I think the Queen last went to... Actually, you know what? I should take this call first, because Clive's going to come in then, and they'll be waiting too long. Primrose Hill. Hello, Peter.
Hi, Nick.
Peter.
Yeah, in the small little complex I live in,
yeah,
we sort all our rubbish into separate bins for...
Which part of London is this?
Primrose Hill.
I said that, didn't I? I'm so stupid.
Green glass and white glass and clear glass and
yes,
this and that,
good
paper and all that. And we sort it all out. And then the trucks come, and it all goes back in the same truck. And most mornings I sort of sit in the high street here, Regent's Park Road, outside a cafe, and watch the garbage trucks come along. And everything from the street, from the restaurants, the shops, the supermarkets, all goes in the same truck, and it's all smashed up by the big thing that crunches all.
Oh, you don't mean it goes into one of these sort of flatbed trucks with a cage around it? You mean it goes into a crushing...
A crushing machine, yeah.
Right. So you've diligently sorted all your rubbish out, and you've diligently sorted all your rubbish out under penalty of death.
Yeah.
And then they just all mix it back up again.
Yeah, and they admit this, and then it goes to either India or China or I think Indonesia or somewhere like that.
In order to protect the environment. Yeah.
In order to protect our environment, and it goes probably to landfill. I mean, there's no way it could be sorted because, even little children, 6 with little tiny fingers, couldn't sort all that.
Even them, yeah. Peter, the whole world has gone crazy. Thanks for the bad news. Cheers, mate. This is LBC 97.3, the number 0845 6060 973. I'll have a chat with Clive next.
6060 973.
Here's Clive Ball.
Good evening.
They're still running your thing where you've...
about the picnics.
Moaning about picnics.
Yes, I really must moan about something else.
Yeah, the way you describe it, of like a picnic basket, as though you're skipping through a field in polka dot shorts and white socks and sandals.
I'm trying to be romantic about it. They'll probably get me... I had a big moan yesterday about loyalty cards and supermarkets, and so maybe they'll clip me moaning about that one.
Right. Because, of course, the modern-day picnic is a bottle of cider and a packet of crisps.
Yes. Yeah, that's about it, really, isn't it? It's not really a picnic at all. And somebody told me it's just about the company, really. It's not about the food.
And 2 fingers up at any passers-by.
Well, yeah. Bit of binge drinking and...
a little light stabbing.
Relieving yourself behind a tree somewhere or even on a lamppost.
Yes.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Well, occasionally I don't know whether I should say this on the air. Maybe I shouldn't.
No, don't.
No, okay then. Well, you know, occasionally you have a picnic, and I used to go, because I used to live in Hampstead for about 10 years, and they have these open-air concerts.
Oh, right.
And on occasions you couldn't get tickets for it, so you'd just sit outside, and the sound would drift by, but it wouldn't be very populated where you were sitting, and the nearest toilet was a good long way away. And so what you used to do was roll like a rolling pin, down the hill a bit, just far enough away from the food to be decent, and in a prone lying position.
Oh.
Into
really? Is that what they do in Hampstead?
Yes, they do. Yes.
Oh, lovely.
Because if you stood up, of course, then you'd be seen by everybody.
Could be seen, but then you're lying in a patch, aren't you?
Well, no, because you go downhill.
Oh, okay. I see. Right. Yes.
There is method in my madness.
Yes.
And then you'd roll back up the hill to where you
thought about this quite a lot.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So I understand you're trying to avoid the football scores. Is that right?
Why would you say that on the air?
Sorry!
What are you, nuts?
I've blown it. But I can't believe anyone's actually that excited about the Euro 08.
Well, people are watching it. I'm sure. I think the first couple of matches got very good audience figures.
Yeah. Well, there is some theory about there's going to be there could be a fix going on. There's some sort of conspiracy because, you know, if certain teams play in a certain way, then other ones go through and all that. I don't know. It's getting very complicated once you get into league tables and things.
Well, I think that the suggestion was that one of the teams that was being fielded was going to put out a less like their B team,
a rubbish team.
Yeah, because they've got through already. And that just seems the natural order.
Forget I said that. But I was going to ask you as well. Did I hear you talking about having a
Who, me? No.
Yes, Wi-Fi radio, internet radio.
Yes.
Yeah, I've just got one of those.
Oh, aren't they fantastic?
Well, they are very clever, actually. Yes.
Lounge radio.
Much better than I thought they would be.
It's the best thing that's come out of Switzerland since cuckoo clocks.
Really?
Lounge radio.
Lounge radio.
Lounge radio. It's groovy, baby.
Right. And you get all these, including LBC, of course.
Yeah, that's right.
It's an ideal way if you want to listen to LBC and you're not in the immediate area.
Yeah.
You can do it now with an internet radio
on the World Wide Web.
You don't even need a computer. You just need a Wi-Fi.
Yes.
So it's very clever.
Yes, it is.
Except I got one. And now this is my dilemma, you see, and I don't know, hoping I might get some consumer advice tonight. I got one that was really good. I was very pleased with it, and then after about a week, I pushed the on button and nothing happened.
Right. Is it plugged into the wall?
Yeah, you can plug it into the wall or you can unplug it. And both ways, nothing happens. Completely dead. And I thought, I'll try everything. I tried the remote. I tried everything. Absolutely dead. So I rang them up and they said, well, yes, okay, just send it in and we'll test it and we'll send you a new one.
Yeah.
I said, well, you won't have to test it very hard because all you have to do is try and switch it on. And it won't work. So anyway, I get the call today. Oh, hello, this is so-and-so. We've been testing your radio that you sent back and it's fine. Don't know what you're talking about. We're listening to it now. I said, but no, you can't be because I couldn't even switch it on. Don't tell me that I can't switch on a radio.
Honestly, Clive.
So
you are so stupid. You work on the radio, you can't turn a radio on.
I said, listen, I do work on the radio. I know how to switch a radio on, and it wasn't working. And they're saying, well, it is working now. I said, well, I can't believe that. Now, what's going to happen? They're going to send it back to me. I'm going to plug it in, and then it's going to not work again.
It's like having a conversation with my dad, honestly.
So what am I going to do? I'm just going to sit on a dead radio.
Yeah. Well, does it look nice?
Actually, it looks cool, yes.
Well, you just use it as a conversation piece.
Yeah, that's true. I'll use it as a paperweight.
Yeah, that's right.
So, yes, I might get some consumer advice on that, I hope, tonight. And lots of other stuff as well. Which you
haven't thought of yet?
Well, do you know, I haven't managed, but since we're being technical, I haven't managed to print it out yet. I've got a list of exciting topics.
Right.
But none of the printers are working at the moment, so I've got to go and find a way of working.
I don't know how you came up with exciting topics in the papers today.
I'm exaggerating.
Oh, okay.
I made some up that weren't in the papers, and they're better than the ones that were.
And that's the genius that is you.
Yeah, exactly.
See, I can't think this stuff up. Unless it's in front of me.
It just happens.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, well, I'm going to see if I can get the printer to work now.
Very good.
Thanks very much.
There he is. Clive Ball.
Bye-bye.
As long as your radio's working, you'll be able to hear him after the news at 10 o'clock. The phone number here, 0845 6060 973. Here's calling Baker Street. Hello, Joseph.
Hello, Nick.
Joseph.
There's one thing that... Yes, we're here. There is one question that has puzzled me for a few weeks, well, for a couple of months now, and I tell you why. We've moved in a new house about 12 months ago, renting, obviously, not buying.
Right.
And the old lodgers, they left a few bits of breeze block in the backyard.
Burglars, did you say?
Breeze blocks, you know?
Burglars?
Breeze block. No. Old lodgers.
Oh, old lodgers, right. Old lodgers left some breeze blocks, yes.
Yeah, a few bits, not big, not full-size ones, just a few bits, small bits, yeah.
Right.
And one day I thought, well, obviously the bin man comes around every 2 weeks, and one day I thought, well, I best chuck them in the bin, somewhere down the bottom, so they can't see them. So they take them away.
Yeah.
And as it happened, when the bin man turned up, it was this really small guy, really small, a bag of balls, trying to pull the bin to the truck. I was struggling. And the driver says, well, why is that so heavy? And I was watching them through a window. And he says, why is it so heavy? And the guy lifts in the top and he's looking in the bin and takes a few bags out. He's like, oh, there's some bricks in there. And the driver says, well, leave it then. So I went outside and I says, hold on, where are you going? You haven't emptied out my bin yet? And the guy says, well, we can't do it because you put some bricks in there.
Yes.
I says, yeah, and what's the problem? Well, we can't put bricks in the...
Yeah, that's industrial waste. Your household waste only, Joseph.
Yes, I know, but I've been trying to play dirty.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of... 2 bits of breeze blocks, 4 bits. I thought,
Blimey,
not gonna...
You're lucky not to be in prison.
Well, yeah, probably. But what the thing is, when I says, hang on, so you're going to drive away now, not emptying my bin? He says, well, I take a few bags, I put them in the truck, and for next time we come over, we get rid of the breeze blocks, and we empty your bin, obviously. I said, yeah, fair enough. He says, well, it's a brand new truck, and I don't want to damage it, because it can happen, and damage the truck.
Quite right.
And, yeah, well, I totally agree with that. And I said, oh, fair enough, but I says, anyway, I mean, like, I says, I'm paying more than £100 a month council tax, and you not even emptying my bin. Because the council doesn't...
Yeah, but you knew you were in the wrong, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But you were going to complain about it anyway.
Yes, but what I want to say is, when I said, look, I'm paying more than £100 a month council tax, and you don't even empty my bin. The council doesn't do anything else at all for me, so what do I pay that council tax for? And the driver says, well, he was very polite, he wasn't trying to argue, he was a nice guy, really. He was in the right, so I can't... And he said, well, I tell you what, out of your £1,200 or whatever you pay council tax a year, 80 pence goes towards the rubbish collection.
Rubbish.
80 pence.
Well, that is rubbish. I don't believe that for a second. 80
well,
pence.
That's what the guy said. So I said, well, where is the rest going, for God's sake? Because they do anything else for me, because my street, the street where I live, is so dirty. Never, ever, no one comes around to tidy up or anything. They never do anything on my street.
And you deliberately moved into that street, Joseph?
Well, it's only because, we can afford the rent there, and it's a big house, and it's quiet, really.
Okay.
It's not a bad place. It's a bit dirty, the street, but it's...
But it doesn't stop you moaning anyway. Here, listen, I've got to move on, but thanks a lot, and I hope that you, figure it out. You could paint them a jolly colour and use them as doorstops. 0845 6060 973. A call on the M23. Hello, Charles.
Hello, Nick. Nice to listen to you and talk to you.
Oh, thanks very much.
I lived in Italy for a while, and we had 3 collections a week for umido, which is the waste food.
3 a week?
3 a week.
Whereabouts in Italy is it?
Pardon?
Whereabouts in Italy were you?
Just outside Venice.
Venice, okay, right.
Yeah, and 2 collections a week for paper, and 2 collections a week for plastics and waste. And if you wanted to get rid of anything, it was the first Tuesday of every month you could put out anything you want to get rid of.
Really?
Yeah, and in France, where I live in France as well now, we have a local déchetterie That's what they call it, the deshiftery. And we get rubbish collected 6 o'clock every Thursday morning. We recycle the plastic and the bottles because the village gets paid for the recycling.
Right.
They don't charge us, we actually get paid for it. So the more bottles you can drink and get rid of, the more the village gets money back.
That sounds like a challenge. It sounds like a challenge.
It is, yes. It's the same as getting your footprints back on your bottle many years ago. Shows my age now.
Yes, that's right, yeah. Okay, that makes it even more depressing here.
It just seems ludicrous over here. I just don't understand where they're coming from, to be perfectly honest.
All right, well, if they can...
Our rates, I only pay €600 a year for rates as well.
It just gets worse.
That's really depressed you now, isn't it?
All right, thanks a lot, Charles.
All right.
More bad news on top of bad news. So there's so many rubbish collections in Italy, I'd lost count. 3 a week for this and 4 a week for that, and blimey, it's like they're virtually hanging outside your front door with their palms cupped, waiting for you to finish. 9:44 and a quarter. LBC Travel with Maggie Doyle.
Well, starting off on the M4, I'm afraid to say it's...
We're running late!
Let's get through some texts. This was a text concerning something that we were talking about a long while ago, the Queen visiting Wimbledon, which is about to be rained off. The Queen last went to Wimbledon in 1977. No, I was around and fully conscious in 1977, and I don't remember that. I bet Jimmy Connors was fighting Bjorn Borg for the title in 1977. I bet that actually happened. And 1977, of course, was the Queen's Jubilee year. God save the Queen, the fascist regime, the think you're a moron, potential H-bomb. Everybody sing! A little while ago, I should read these texts out as I'm discussing the topics, rather than having to recap every blooming time I'll read something else out that was, I've got about 50 topics back. You have made a list, haven't you, Victoria? And I was discussing animals deciding that they're not going to wait for our scraps, they're just going to turn on us. Crabs would be bad if they turned on us, says that text. Now, do they mean rockpool crabs or panty crabs? Each, I suppose, would be bad if they turned on us. And then, a little while ago, it seems like days now, doesn't it, when we first sat down here, Victoria said that she takes her pillow on holiday with her. Never heard anything so silly in all my life. Here's another one. I take my pillow to hotels too. And if I forget, I put the pillow inside one of my T-shirts rather than sleep on someone else's bugs. Well, yeah, once you see those photographs of blown-up bugs in newspapers, every now and again they scare the pants off you, it does remind you that we are not alone, even in our most private moment. And it freaks you out, because they look like something out of the Alien monster, don't they? It's just, oh. But the bugs don't stop because you've introduced your pillow to the bed. They'll be crawling all over it, up your nose and taking residence in your eyelashes and... Just because you brought your pillow with you doesn't mean to say... And in fact, your pillow is chock full of the bugs that have been feeding on you. And so when your bugs meet the foreign bugs from the bed, they'll be having hot insect interface with each other and creating a great new strain of superbugs. Think of what you're doing. Also, a good long while ago, I was talking about the smell of hotel rooms, because Travelodge are introducing smells into hotel rooms based on the selections that people made. And this text is about that. I think a hotel smelling of roses and champagne would be fantastic. When I was at a hotel in Margate, I stole a picture. It was the Scream. They put Munch's The Scream on the wall in a hotel. Are they out of their minds? Unfortunately, he says, it was only a print, not the original. Somebody else had previously stolen that for your convenience. Yeah. I mean, come on. I mean, of all the great classics of painting to nail to the wall of a hotel. The Scream? What kind of message does that send? Here's your breakfast menu. Another text. In my school we have sets in the core subjects and in languages. The smart ones go in the smart set, and the thickies go in the thickie set. But even if it were the same class, we wouldn't learn as slow as them, because we probably know more than the teachers anyway. Oh, smart Alec. How many of these are there? There's a lot, aren't they? They're all about... Oh, blimey, it goes on forever! I haven't got time, we've got 10 minutes, and I've got calls to get through as well. I'll leave it for you to select the best, and I will take this call in Croydon. Hello, Sarah.
Hello, hey, how are you?
Very well, thanks.
That's funny, the Scream.
Can you believe that? Nothing nice by, oh, blimey, I don't know, Monet. Not a nice water lilies. No.
All the flowers, something nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, what I wanted to say, I work for the NHS, and they don't recycle, and I just can't believe it.
What?
Yeah, I mean, they're scared of the fines that they will incur should any bodily waste get into the stuff that they're throwing away, and the fines are just too humongous, so they don't bother. And
but the NHS is it not the biggest employer in this country? In fact, it might be one of the biggest employers in the world.
Yeah, you'd think it would.
So the amount of waste they produce must be staggering.
Yeah, absolutely incredible.
And they don't recycle anything.
No, I mean, I think they're trying to now, but they incur these huge fines if, say, a tiny speck of blood got on something that then went into a bag that went into something to be recycled.
Right.
And you know, as with so much these days, health and safety and everything, it's they're too scared of all that money they've got to pay.
It does make you think, why are we bothering?
Exactly.
Really?
And you know, I sort of find myself thinking, should I really wash out this margarine carton of Flora? You know, when they're not. It's
other butter substitutes are available. Yes, Flora, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's just mad. It really is.
Yeah. I don't know. It just makes you want to shrug your shoulders and go, pfft, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it? And your margarine thing in the bin, in the normal bin.
Exactly. All right. Thanks, Sarah.
Bye.
0845 606. Oh, I better not read the number out. I haven't got time anymore. Woolwich. Oh, Norma.
Hello.
Hey, Norma.
Hello. Just wanted to say, my experience in Italy.
Yeah.
They have a strategically placed very large bin that you put your foot on a pedal, the lid goes up, you put your day's refuse in it, and it's collected once a day.
Once a day?
Yes, once a day.
And where was this in Italy?
In Tuscany, in Marina di Carrara, which is on the coast.
Okay, not Napoli, which has a big problem with rubbish at the moment.
Yeah, but also here, after 10 days, my bin was a bit high, and I rang the council and said once a fortnight wouldn't do. So their suggestion was that I put it into a plastic bag, put it in my car, and drove it across the borough to the main tip, which I thought was outrageous.
Also, not really helping the planet much.
Oh, no, not at all. But, I mean, it hasn't even been that hot, and yet the bin was high. But my neighbour had said exactly the same thing. So I don't know how long this is going to last, but it's not very successful.
Well, you're lucky they didn't just say, put it in your car.
Well, they did say put it in my car and take it to the tip.
No, I mean, just put it in your car.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Norma.
Okay.
Cheers. 084... I'll keep automatically reading it out, but I haven't got any time. A call in Vauxhall. Oops. Steve.
Hello, Nick, mate.
Steve.
How are you, my friend?
Very well, thanks.
Good. Just to try and praise Lambeth up a bit. 3 times a week, the bins get empty. Once a week, the recycling bin, and the bulk refuse, you know, that's broken chairs, this, whatever they throw out, settees and all that, they come round 5 days a week.
You're kidding?
No, that is true.
5 days a week?
5 days a week they come out, yep.
Right, so if I finish with my washing machine and I want it collected, they'll do it that day?
Them up, yep.
For nothing?
Yep.
Are you sure about that?
I worked for the council for years, not Lambeth, but other councils, but, you know, I do a lot. I'm registered blind, but I know what goes on in our council, you know.
Right, OK. Well, I'm stunned. I'll if Lambeth was any nicer, I think I'd move there.
Don't bother, mate.
Thanks a lot, Steve.
Thanks a lot,
Cheers,
mate.
ta-da.
Cheers.
All right, I'm going to get through some of these texts because you people have been nice enough to send them in. Gordon Brown looks like he hasn't had a day of fun in his whole life. Oh, poor bloke. B&Bs are funnier than hotels. At breakfast, the owner kept talking about his dog's toenail clippings. Actually, I don't mind if I never stay in a B&B for the rest of my life. I want complete and total anonymity in a hotel. I want to be one of just many hundreds of unidentifiable people. I don't want to be singled out or said hello to or anything. I want it to be as though I'm not there. A B&B. Can you imagine the horror? That would be an Edvard Munch painting right there, wouldn't it? Another one. Try driving greenly in the speed bump capital of the world, Islington. Some of its speed bumps need mountaineering equipment. Something's got to be done about speed bumps, by the way. They're not helping. You know, cars, the tyres actually wear out on the inside. Because people try to go over those, not the bumps that go, that are like a roll that goes over the road, but those little square bumps that if you hit it right, you don't go up and down, you just go straight over it. But it's wearing the inside of your tyres out. It's also knocking your tyres out of alignment. So that's not helping the planet either. Another text. What did the Romans do with landfill? We don't seem to dig it up. What does that mean?
We haven't discovered their rubbish.
Oh, right. Well, we have. It's all in museums. Hey, maybe we should cut the middleman out and just put our rubbish straight in the museum. Another text. We had a waste disposal system 30 years ago. It made a dreadful noise and annihilated teaspoons by the dozen. It was awful. It's a question of fashion, not whether the antiquated Victorian plumbing can accommodate it or not. You should compost the veg. Only if you've got a garden. Hey, Victoria, what have we talked about today, then, eh?
Well, we had vultures.
Yes.
Sad mother ducks. Smelly hotel rooms. Bullet holes. The rats are taking over. Wimbledon. The Olympics. Snowboarders on dope.
Yes.
Green Day tattoos. Pigeons eating croissants. Boris the blind cat.
Oh.
Pillows, bed mites, hotels, Prince Charles and the Gypsies. Actually, you never said that, you just mentioned it.
Oh, right, I'll do it tomorrow.
Education, universities, equal opportunities, Alaska, fear of travelling.
Yes.
Mummy and the Baby Bears. Tony Blair, Gordon Brown. I think that's his streaming. Americanisation of news. Bed linen. Flowers outside the bed.
Oh, LBC.
Did you know that Lloyds TSB is Britain's most popular bank for current accounts? That's like being the most